Have you ever wondered if she thinks about you when you're not there? Not when you are texting her, not when you are standing in front of her, but in the quiet moments, late at night, when her mind has nothing to distract it. Do you ever catch yourself replaying small interactions and asking, was that random, or was that something more? What if there were clear signs? Not dramatic movie scenes, but subtle patterns that reveal when a woman cannot quite get you out of her head, small behaviours, repeated actions, shifts in energy that happen without her planning them. In this video, we're going straight into 6 real signs that she's thinking about you more than she lets on. Simple, observable, and often overlooked. Let's break them down one by one. Number 1. Her body mirrors yours. Attraction usually shows up in the body before it ever shows up in words. Long before someone says I like you, their nervous system has already reacted. So start paying attention to the physical rhythm between you. When you lean in slightly while talking, does she lean in too? When you slow your voice and speak more softly, does her tone soften without her even thinking about it? When you touch your neck or adjust your sleeve, does she make a similar movement a few seconds later? These small echoes matter more than people realize. This is called mirroring. It is something human beings do naturally when they feel connected or safe with someone. And here is the important part. It is rarely planned. She is not sitting there thinking, I will copy his movements now. It happens beneath awareness. 2 nervous systems begin to sync up. Breathing starts to match. Posture starts to align. Even the speed of speech can fall into the same rhythm. It is subtle, but once you notice it, you cannot unsee it. Now do not make this awkward. Do not stare at her trying to catch every movement. That kind of tension breaks the flow completely. Instead, relax. Stay present. Just observe whether your bodies seem to move in a quiet harmony. Think of it like music. When 2 instruments are in tune, they blend naturally. When they are not, you can feel the dissonance. The body does not mirror out of politeness. Words can be polite. Smiles can be polite. But the body reacts to chemistry. It reacts to comfort. It reacts to interest. If you notice consistent synchronization, not once but repeatedly, that is your first quiet signal that something deeper might be happening. Number 2, she creates opportunities to be near you. Attraction tends to move closer, not farther away. When someone feels drawn to you, even in a quiet way, they naturally look for reasons to share space. It is not always dramatic. It can be subtle, almost easy to miss. She volunteers for the same project you're on. She decides to stay a little later when you stay late. She somehow ends up in the same break area, the same gym time, the same social circle more often than before. You begin to notice that your paths cross a little too smoothly to be pure chance. She may find small, practical reasons to stand near you. Asking a simple question she could have asked someone else. Choosing the seat next to you when others are open. Walking the same direction when there were other options. None of this feels loud. It feels natural. And that is the point. Human beings are very intentional with proximity. We protect our physical space without thinking about it. We only let certain people enter that space when we feel safe, curious, or quietly drawn to them. Distance is easy. Closeness takes intention. Now let's stay grounded. This does not automatically mean she has deep romantic feelings. Sometimes people move closer because they are lonely. Sometimes they want attention or validation. Context always matters, but repeated proximity is rarely random. If she consistently positions herself near you, if sharing space becomes a pattern instead of a one-time event, that is not coincidence. That is gravity. And gravity does not pull without a reason. Number 3, she remembers small details about you. This one matters more than most men realize. It does not look dramatic on the surface, but it says a lot. You mention a book once during a casual conversation. 3 weeks later, she brings it up again and asks if you finished it. You talk about your favorite coffee from a small place across town. Months later, she says she walked past it and thought of you. These are small things, easy to brush off, but they are not random. Here is what that tells you. You occupy mental space. After the conversation ended, you did not disappear from her mind. Something about you stayed. Human memory is selective. We do not deeply remember details about people who mean nothing to us. Our brains filter constantly. Names, preferences, random facts. Most of it fades. What stays is usually tied to emotion. Attention is emotional investment. When she remembers small and specific details, it means she listened in a different way, not just waiting for her turn to speak, not just passing time, but actually taking you in. And more than that, she stored it. That takes energy. That takes interest. Now again, one detail remembered does not mean she is planning a future with you. Stay grounded, but when it becomes a pattern, when she consistently recalls things you barely remember saying, it shows something deeper. You stayed with her after the moment passed, and that is important. Because fantasy does not begin with big speeches or dramatic confessions. It begins quietly. It begins when someone replays your words in their head. It begins when your preferences feel worth remembering. Quiet remembering is often the first step of emotional attachment. Number 4, she reaches out at unfiltered moments. Now let's talk about timing. Not the planned conversations, not the polite replies during the day. I mean the unfiltered moments, the late-night text, the random "what are you up to" message with no clear purpose, the meme she sends that does not even require a reply. These small reaches matter because they usually happen when her guard is lower. At 11:47 at night, people are not messaging out of obligation. They are not networking. They are not trying to look productive. They are winding down. They are alone with their thoughts, and in those quiet spaces, we reach for whoever is on our mind. That is when honesty slips through in simple ways. Now slow down before your imagination runs. One late-night message does not mean anything on its own. People get bored. People scroll. People send random texts. Maturity means you do not build a story from one moment. You look for patterns. If she consistently reaches out when she's relaxed, when the day is over, when she has nothing to gain, that is different. If you are the person she thinks of in those unguarded hours, you are present in her inner world, not loudly, not dramatically, but steadily. There is something honest about who we text when we do not have to impress anyone. It shows who feels familiar, who feels safe, who feels interesting enough to interrupt silence. Again, this is not proof of love. It is not a promise of action. But repeated, unfiltered contact is rarely accidental. It means you're not just an option on a list. You're a thought that returns when her mind is quiet, and thoughts that return usually carry meaning. These next 2 signs are deeper, and they usually show up together. They are not about space or texting. They are about energy and emotion. This is where things move from casual interest into something more personal. First, notice if she becomes different around you. Maybe she is more playful than usual. She laughs easier. She teases you in a light way. Or maybe it goes the other direction. She becomes quieter, slightly guarded, more aware of herself. Sometimes she looks confident one minute and a little nervous the next. The key is not what direction the shift goes. The key is that there is a shift at all. People do not change their energy for someone who does not matter. If you were irrelevant to her, she would stay neutral, calm. The same version of herself she shows everyone else. When your presence reorganizes her behavior, it means you activate something inside her. That activation could be attraction. It could also be fear of feeling too much. It could be excitement mixed with uncertainty. But whatever it is not indifference. And indifference is quiet and flat. This is not flat. Now the second part, and this is the one most men overlook. Pay attention to the kinds of questions she asks. Does she stay on safe topics like work and hobbies? Or does she slowly move deeper? Does she ask about your childhood, your relationship with your parents, your biggest fear, your long-term dreams, your regrets, the parts of your story that are not polished and impressive? When a woman asks about those things, she's not just filling silence, she's testing emotional depth. She's asking, is there more here? Is this man surface level, or is there something real under the calm exterior? Surface curiosity is casual. It is about facts. Where did you grow up? What do you do? What music do you like? Shadow curiosity is different. It reaches into the parts you do not share with everyone. And here is something important. When she invites you to talk about your fears or your dreams, she's also deciding whether she feels safe enough to share hers. Emotional depth is not one-sided. It is an exchange. If she leans into those conversations and stays there, that is not small. Again, stay grounded. One deep conversation does not define everything. But if she consistently shifts around you and consistently tries to understand your inner world, That tells you something real is being activated. Attraction is not always loud. Sometimes it shows up as curiosity about the person behind the mask, and when someone wants to see who you are without the performance, that is where real connection begins. Now, let's ground this. Even if all 6 signs are present, even if her body mirrors yours, even if she remembers small details, even if she reaches out late at night and asks about your fears, she may still not choose you. That is the hard truth. Attraction and action are not the same thing. People can feel desire and still choose safety. They can fantasize and still build walls. They can care and still walk away. That is not manipulation. Most of the time, it is fear. Sometimes the feeling is real, but the timing is wrong. Sometimes the connection is strong, but past wounds are stronger. Sometimes someone wants you, but they are not ready for what wanting you would require. Human beings are complicated. We are divided inside. One part wants closeness, another part wants protection, and protection often wins. Now here is the part most men avoid looking at. Your obsession with whether she's thinking about you is also telling you something about yourself. Why does it matter so much? Are you afraid of rejection? Or are you afraid of being chosen and having to open up? Do you truly want her as a person, with her flaws and limits, or do you want the validation of being desired? These are not accusations. They are honest questions, and asking them does not make you weak. It makes you aware. Self-awareness is strength. When you understand your own fears, you stop projecting them onto her behavior. You cannot control whether she fantasizes about you. You cannot control whether she admits it. You cannot control whether she acts on it. You cannot force someone to move toward you just because the signs are there. All you can control is how steady you remain. Mature men do not chase clarity through anxiety. They do not interrogate every message or overanalyze every glance. They create space. They observe calmly. They let patterns show themselves over time. If the pattern is real, you will not need to force it. It will become obvious through consistency. If it is not real, that truth will also become clear. And if she does not choose you, you will survive it. It will not define your value. Your worth was never dependent on her inner thoughts. It was never dependent on whether she fantasized about you at night. Your worth is stable. It exists before her, and it will exist after her. So take a breath. Observe without panic. Feel without losing yourself. And remember, clarity is freedom, even when the answer is not the one you hoped for.